to the 48th annual Blue Raider Baseball Groundhog Day Luncheon. Although this is not our typical Groundhog Day Luncheon, I'd love to be looking out at the tables, seeing you having some ham hocks and white beans and tomato salad and chocolate cake and some cornbread. But, you know, we kind of have to do what we have to do during this time. So we're still doing it virtually, but still very excited to be with you here for the start of the 2021 baseball season. You know, as we look ahead, we can't help but look back and remember those in our Blue Raider baseball family that we've lost since last year's luncheon. The passing of Coach Steve Peterson leaves an unfillable void, so we remind you right off the bat to stay tuned. We'll have more on that a little bit later in the show. Also, you know, we've lost several great members of our family, including the great George Zimmerman, great Blue Raider player, and our concession manager for many, many years, and one of our great super fans, Gary Garrett. We'll miss them all, and we've all been touched by this as the year's gone along. To start our show today, I'd like to give special thanks to the biggest of our Blue Raider fans, President of Middle Tennessee State University, Dr. Sidney A. McPhee, and our First Lady, Liz McPhee. Well, Dr. McPhee and his executive staff have worked tirelessly to ensure a safe return to campus for our students and our student athletes, and we thank them for that. You know, the Groundhog Day Luncheon, this is year 48 for the Groundhog Day Luncheon, and it goes back to 1974. And here's what happened back in those days. John Stanford, Doug McCauley, who was with the food service at the time, and a handful of Blue Raider faithful, known as the Railbirds, gathered in Dining Room B, which was upstairs in the James Union building. And it was an opportunity for these like-minded Blue Raiders to get together, have a little hot stove conversation, and then quiz the coach about his upcoming baseball team. You know, we also kind of had a wonder and had a question one time, who was the first lady to come to the event? Because it was only a handful of guys early on, but another one of the great fans of all Blue Raiders, Ms. Audine Phillips, who also unfortunately passed away during the past year. Well, Audine and Carlene Henry both worked in the president's office, and they had asked a couple of times, hey, can we come to the luncheon? Well, somehow, whether it was Coach Stanford or Doug McCauley or somebody, gave them the impression that there was actually groundhog being served. So they kind of held off for a year or two, but they eventually became the first two ladies who came to the Groundhog Day Luncheon, and from that point on, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, Coach Stanford brought his Cajun flair to the event. Steve Peterson shared his dreams with us and saw those dreams come to fruition with the new ballpark. Jim McGuire continued that tradition and added some video flair to it. And now Coach Tomlin and his staff have stamped their personality on the Groundhog Day Luncheon. The tradition continues here with year 48. You know, we're here to talk Blue Raider baseball today, so what a better way to get things going than meeting your 2021 Blue Raiders. Well, what a great group of student athletes we have there, and can't wait to see them all on the field. You know, several years ago, one of the guys who got introduced as a player is now Dr. Todd Martin of Bluegrass Dental. We want to thank he and his company, Bluegrass Dental, for being the presenting sponsor of today's virtual Groundhog Day Luncheon. You know, this team has been working very, very hard during the past year, despite the shortcoming of having their 2020 season prematurely cut short as part of COVID-19. I had a chance to sit down with the coaches and several players and talk about the upcoming season. You can tell from their voice and the smiles on their faces, they're ready to get things going on February 19th. Coach Jim Tomlin joins us today. Coach, I know you've got to be ready to go because it's been so long since you guys have been able to hit the field in competition.
Absolutely. The coaches are excited, the players are excited, and we're just hoping these vaccines get out there and the COVID slows down a little bit and we can play a full season.
Yep, you got a big roster, 45 guys on your roster right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys to balance there.
Yeah, the NCAA changed that a little bit because we lost last season and they gave everyone an extra year of eligibility. They also expanded the rosters. They're actually an unlimited roster for this spring. And next year it'll be 40-man next spring. But right now it's unlimited. So we have 45 players on our team right now.
Scheduling has been a work in progress for most every sport now. Tell us about some opponents we'll be seeing this year for the Blue Raiders.
Yeah, well, the schedule has been done for over a year. And the first, I think, 4 out of the first 5 series on the weekends have been changed in the last month. Like, we were supposed to open up at Furman, and they dropped the program. So we have Oakland coming down from Michigan to play. I have a new coach and have a lot of new players there, so they're excited about the new coaching staff there. The second weekend, we actually we're supposed to play in the SAF Classic and have Pitt here, ACC team, for 2 games, and Notre Dame here, and Northwestern, and at one point Kansas, and that got all changed because of the COVID. So now we're playing Bowling Green that weekend, bringing 1 team in here instead of 3 to help out with the less virus spread, I guess. And then the third weekend, we've been going to South Alabama all along. Mark Calvey is the guy I coached at South Carolina with. Really good program at South Alabama. The fourth weekend was supposed to be Wright State, another good program in the Horizon League, but they changed their conference schedule, so we had to pick up Valparaiso from Indiana. And then the fifth weekend, we were going to Kennesaw State. They changed their conference schedule due to COVID, and we ended up picking up Memphis for 3. Darren Schoenrock, a good friend of mine from back in the SEC days. So it's been a revolving door, and we're still in the process of trying to figure out midweek games. Even though we had them all scheduled, Conference USA went from 24 to 32 conference games. We're playing a 9, 2 7s, and a 9, 4 games for 8 weekends. So when we added 8 conference games, we had to take off 8 midweek games. So we're in the process trying to figure out who we're playing in the midweek. And then, so I'd say right now our schedule is about 95% complete, and it's just changing every day, basically.
Yeah. Well, here we are on Groundhog Day. That means 17 days away from February 19th. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Pitching coach Kyle Bunn joins us now. And Kyle, you've got 24 pitchers on your roster. It certainly is nice to have a lot of guys you can count on, and trying to figure out who you can count on right now during the preseason part.
Well, it's certainly, you're right. I mean, we have a lot of options, which is a good thing. But at the same point in time, it's who we're going to narrow it down to and who are we going to use the most. And then once you kind of figure that out, we're also trying to figure out, okay, what exactly role are we going to have each one of them in? And then do we have them in the right role once we've made a decision?
Yeah. So we're still a little over 2 weeks away from starting the season against Oakland. But with 24 pitchers on the roster and Conference USA allows you to travel, and with 30, how's that going to affect what you're going to be able to take on the road for a conference weekend? How are those numbers going to be?
Several of those guys that are listed as pitchers are two-way guys, so they're going to be able to help us kind of in a dual role. The other one is really you're just going to have to kind of narrow it down and look at it as who had maybe thrown in a previous week. Is a guy going to be down with an injury? And if they are, that makes it a little bit easier. But we're trying to just limit it down to whatever we can do with that certain group that we feel like may be effective to beat the next opponent ahead of us.
Right now, the way the conference schedule is going to be, you're going to have more innings on the weekend that you're going to have to fill with the doubleheaders coming on Saturday. So that's got to be a consideration also.
It's definitely a consideration there, and then we're also looking at it as do we keep the same rotation? Mm-hmm. A typical Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Are you going to switch it up and let 2 of your better guys throw the 2 doubleheader games? It's going to be a little bit of like a math equation for us. It's just going to probably take us some time to get acclimated. The good thing for us is we've got 2 of those doubleheaders coming up before we actually have to go into conference play.
And that'll give you kind of a dry run through it.
Hopefully, that's what we're trying to kind of plan ahead, and then we're going to work with it a little bit here in our next couple. As we're continuing to kind of grow into it, which guy needs to go into which slot as far as the 4 starters on the weekend.
Yep. Now, as far as arms, when everything kind of came to a halt last year, the college summer leagues, those things didn't happen like normal. And how did you see your guys coming back? The ones who were coming back, were they rested or rusty, or there's only one difference between rest and rust? Where did you find?
I think a lot of them were, one, they were eager to get back. They were eager to get back into some level of competition. Of course, I think a few of them had gone off and played in a limited role. But really for us, it was more how, now that they are rested, I guess, what are we going to, how much are we still going to use them? Wasn't like we tried to use them more in the fall, because they had some time off. I just use it, as an advantage for us is they had a little bit of time to let their arm rest. Now hopefully they're going to be able to maintain their health for longer.
Yep. Still a work in progress, but it's coming up real soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Coach Lucas Ray joins us, newest man on the staff. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so I came here most recently from Charleston Southern University in South Carolina. Spent also 3 years in South Carolina Junior College Conference. So it kind of came here through mutual coaches with Coach Hunt and people knowing Coach Tomlin. And I love it here. It's a great family atmosphere. The coaches work hard, players work hard, and I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Yep. Well, all your fellow coaches like to get outdoors, and all of you are competitive guys. So who's the best fisherman of the group?
The best fisherman, well, if you ask me the best hunter, I'd probably say Coach Bunn. But when you go best fisherman, it kind of narrows it down to Coach Tomlin and Coach Hunt. And
yourself.
Well, yeah, I have been fishing with both of them.
Yeah.
But I'm probably third on that ranking.
And Coach Tomlin definitely takes more pictures of himself fishing than anybody else on the staff.
Definitely talks a big game.
He does.
Has a big game about it, and I'm sure he would have a lot of reasons on why he's the best fisherman on the staff. But
main reason is he's the boss.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave the question open and just invite people to see who has the bigger fish on their wall in the office.
All right.
And that's probably the better fisherman.
And that gives people a reason to come by and visit over at the clubhouse, right?
Yes. Just make sure to mask up.
That's right.
And we'll measure the fish.
Well, speaking of that, you have a lot of your job has to do with travel and putting things together and kind of running the clubhouse. With COVID protocols, that kind of amps things up, by a factor of whatever.
Of course.
Talk about how you all are going to handle that when it comes to travel, things like that.
Well, President Dr. McPhee and Athletic Director Chris Massaro have put together a great list of protocols that's really protecting the safety of the coaches, players, and fans, and all personnel included. And so we have a protocol in place. The simple of mask up, social distance. We have numerous cleaning mechanisms around the clubhouse, and we're going to socially distance on buses, hotels, and places around that to just make sure that we don't have a outbreak and try to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Take it a day at a time and do it the right way.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
All right, appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.
Aaron Brown from Mount Juliet joins us. Okay, Aaron, what does it mean to have the opportunity to compete at the collegiate level while earning your college degree?
It means a lot. I mean, I get to play baseball and get a degree at the same time, but baseball has for sure helped me get to where I am today, and I'm just taking full advantage of being able to get a degree in what I want to study and pursue later on after baseball. So you can't really beat it. So
yeah.
I think that's goes for everybody on the team.
Getting kind of crowded out in the bullpen with all these arms out there. Is it competition or everybody rooting for each other? A little both?
A little both,
Yeah.
for sure. Early in the fall was a little trying to get the younger guys acclimated to everything going on and just getting them in a routine of how things are here, with Coach Bunn's schedule and how he wants things ran from a pitching standpoint. And all the younger guys are a little bit different, so all the older guys take advantage of being able to talk to each one of them, learn how they are, figure out what works best with them, certain cues to tell them. But it just comes down to being comfortable. You got to stay between the ears and compete every pitch, because Coach Bunn says all the time that the bullpen, you can't trust you if you can't throw strikes in the bullpen. You can't put you in the game if that ain't happening. So you can't not go 100% in the bullpen. So you got to be open to do some changes or whatever it takes to throw strikes and compete and help the team win. So they're starting to catch on to that, and it's going good so far. And this fall was really good for everybody.
Do you like the role of being a mentor?
I do. I enjoy it. I mean, I like guys that are open to talk or want to come run up to me during the practice or training and whatever it is and ask questions about pitching, or just they want to grow. They want to learn. They want to be able to, because once me and the older guys are out of here, they're going to be in my shoes, and they want to be able to do the same thing with the younger guys. So it's just a process of keeping it going and knowing what it takes to win here. So
Nathan Sanders joins us today, a Smyrna native and a Blue Raider. What was it like growing up in the shadow of this program, and was it kind of a goal to be able to put on the blue and white?
Yes, sir, for sure. Always. Growing up like 30 minutes down the road is like, I've always wanted to come here. This was a dream come true. My sister graduated from here also, so I always knew I'd be a Blue Raider.
Yep.
So.
What have you done this offseason to pick up where you left off after the season got cut short?
Really just try to stay active. You know, you got to try to pick up where you left off. It was definitely challenging. It's just trying to make up the reps you missed and just trying to get back to where you want to be. So.
Now, you've got an interesting dynamic going on this year because your brother Chewy is on the roster. Tell us about Chewy, and are you taking full advantage of being the big brother here?
Oh, for sure. So we're only a year and a month apart, and growing up, we've always played on teams together and everything. So it's kind of like, it's not new to us, but to other people, it's not many people get this opportunity to play at this level with your, like, pretty much my best friend. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Are you guys just chomping at the bit to play?
Oh, for sure. Love it. Like, we like the competitiveness, and we make each other better, try harder, and just we grow through each other. So.
Brett Coker joining us today. And Brett, what are you looking forward to most about the upcoming season? And what do you think fans ought to look forward to off of this team? Because it's got some talented guys.
Well, since COVID took away our season last year, I'm just kind of like ready to get back on the field and just play against some different competition, because we've been playing the same people, well, our team at least, for like 18 games. So I'm trying to play somebody else.
What did you do personally to keep yourself sharp and work on your skills when you couldn't be around other people?
I had like an in-home gym, so my parents bought me some stuff for my birthday and just worked out. And I had like a little hidden cage in my house, so just did that for the whole summer.
Yep.
Whole quarantine, I guess.
Yeah. Now you're a newcomer on this team, and now you're trying to continue to mesh with your teammates and all that. How's this group coming together as a group?
I think we're coming together pretty well. I mean, everybody's pretty easygoing, so I mean, you can go up to anybody in the locker room, any of the coaches, just have a good conversation with them. So I think it's pretty good.
With 45 guys on the roster, it's going to be a lot of competition, both on the mound and at the plate this year. Tell me some guys who you've seen that you think fans need to look forward to.
Aaron Brown, Mason Spears, Fausto, JT, Dilly, Nathan Sanders, just everybody really.
Yep. From week to week, this team is going to be deep enough. It seems like if somebody's struggling a little bit, there's going to be somebody else right there to pick them up.
Right, there is.
Talk about the schedule. I mean, you've seen it, and it's going to be challenging.
It is, but I mean, most of the guys on our team are junior college guys, and we play doubleheaders every time. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to see.
Well, I think you can really see and hear the excitement they have. And, for all Blue Raider fans, there's a great promise that this will be a very unique and exciting season for Middle Tennessee baseball. This day is all about tradition. We've been doing it for 48 years, getting ready for the upcoming baseball season. And keeping with tradition, time now for one of the great Railbird traditions, and that's presenting the Railbird jacket. Due to COVID-19, the presentation was also done virtually. So we turn it over to Coach Jim Tomlin, who has the honors.
We actually went back in history and looked around, and we were thinking for this year, for Groundhog Luncheon, that we needed a perfect person or persons to become the Railbird jacket recipients. And after analyzing all the people in the country, millions of people, we came down to two people they're probably most influential in us having a stadium, Reese Smith Stadium, and the Steve Smith Clubhouse, and the person that runs the household in Denise. So we want this year for Steve Smith and his better half, Denise, to be the recipients of the 2021 Railbird jackets. And we just appreciate you guys. And I was actually really happily, I was a little surprised you didn't get about 4 jackets by now, because the Smith family is probably the most important name in the history of this program. And I'm honored. I've only been here for 2.5 years, but you know, this program wouldn't be what it is today without the Smith family and your parents and your father and your brothers and especially Miss Denise. So we want to do that today and honor you all for being great Blue Raiders and being true blue. So this year's recipients of the Railbird jackets are Steve and Denise Smith.
All right. Woo! Can't believe I have my own.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, they look good. They look good. Blue's looking good on you guys.
It's my
Yes,
color. It's
sir.
my color.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Thank
Nice.
you.
We appreciate everything you guys have done. I haven't been here very long, but I know the Smith family is very important to us. So that is awesome. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Steve and Denise, and it's very appropriate that you're both standing there wearing that Blue Raider baseball Railbird jacket. It's very, very well deserved. Well, you know, part of the Railbird tradition, it was started by John Stanford, but one of the great caretakers of it was Coach Steve Peterson. And we mentioned early in the show for you to stay tuned. Well, you know, Mr. MTSU baseball, Coach Peterson, passed away back in March when the world seemed to come to a stop. We're putting together a great video tribute to him that will be coming up a bit later, so be watching GoBlueRaiders.com for when that debuts. But right now, here's a little taste of what you're going to see in that tribute to Coach Steve Peterson. Newest member of the Blue Raider Hall of Fame, Coach Steve Peterson.
Can you feel the passion, the enthusiasm? Dennis, hey, I can see Bunio getting up in the locker room right now. Okay? Aren't you looking for somebody to sell tickets? Aren't you? I'll buy tickets. I'll buy tickets, Ed. I'm just saying. And amen, hallelujah. Golly, this is what it's all about. And there's more to it than just being a good player, isn't it? It's passion. And passion, my players, I appreciate you being here. Passion, when I was 18, 22 years old, I thought passion was in the back seat of the car. It's on that field. It's on that field, and it's and you got to have it, and you got to have it all through life.
And Coach Pete, he was hardcore, but in a good way. You could tell he had pride for you, not just for himself, but he wanted his players to get better. I think that's when I was being recruited. One of the first things that stood out is I could tell he was more or less a man of his word, and I knew I was going to get a shot. But you know, he ran us hard. We trained hard. I still, between all professional baseball, everything I've done, I've never ran as hard in my life as I did for Coach Pete. He ran us. I was in the best shape by far, and I thank him for that. At the time, I sure wasn't, but I'm glad he did.
it was great. Like Coach Pete was exactly what I needed. I was raised in a single parent household with my mother, and Coach Pete was like a father figure to me. But he was like he was like we called him Stone Cold, but like he was like a father figure to me, and he held me accountable. It's like you live to please Coach Pete. To make him he was very serious, but he also smiled too, and like had a great laugh. And so you just kind of live to please him, and it was like the father that I needed at that point. He kept me out of trouble. He gave me boundaries and guidelines that we're going to live by, and those are things I take with me today with my child.
He would talk about this stadium for years, how years he's tried to work on it, and the different plans he's had, and the different little drawings he's had, and those kind of things, and kind of the attempts to do it. And so yeah, it was easy to see that was his dream. It was easy to see that was a lot of the people that were connected with MT baseball. That was also their dream, and so Pete was the Pied Piper of the stadium. I mean, that he was the main advocate, and to be able to get it going, and a lot of people gave money to the stadium because of their relationship with John Stanford and with Coach Pete.
I don't think I'll ever forget the first team meeting. Coach Pete made it clear that, guys, when you're on the field, it's my time. I want you focused. I want you locked in. We're going to go to work. Anytime outside of that time period, I'm here for you. Let me know what you need. If it's academics, if it's food, whatever it may be. If you got a family problem you want to talk with or about, I'm here. But when we're on the field, it's baseball.
Coach Pete made an investment or a commitment to somebody. He was committed to him. I mean, he was going to be, square peg in a round hole if it had to be. He was just going to keep forcing it till he didn't have any choice to try to help him, whether it was a discipline situation or whether it was trying to make him a better player, or whatever it might be. So his philosophy was, if we make this decision and we bring them in, we're committed to them and we expect them to be committed.
One of the things that I take away the most from Coach Pete is that he had a high expectation from you, but he wasn't going to let you fail. He was going to help you along the way as well. I mean, he was going to make sure that you got there and never strayed from that path. And that's one of the best things that I ever got from him.
Well, he's blue collar, and he was a worker. He was a catcher. He had a build about like most catchers. So he wasn't extremely graceful, but he outworked everybody. So if you had a dirty uniform, he liked you. And like I say, he outworked everybody. But he enthused guys to want to work more. And he had the belief that we could win. And if you're a leader, you get people to do a little bit more than they're really capable of doing.
But to think that, as Ed says, that we're a legend, that what we're doing is going to be here forever, and it's just an amazing thing to think about.
Can't wait to see the video on Coach Pete, because there's going to be some great stories that are going to be told from players throughout his tenure and his contemporaries as well. It's going to be outstanding. Well, when I go to my phone, that means that I have the very latest information for you on tickets. 2021 Blue Raider baseball season ticket information and commitment forms were mailed to past season ticket holders very recently. For the upcoming season, with social distancing still playing a factor in the capacity of Reese Smith Jr. Field, the only way to attend a Blue Raider baseball game right now will be with season tickets, as single game tickets will not be available as the season begins. For more information, visit goblueraiders.com and click on tickets, and then click on baseball, and you will get the very latest information. So we look forward to seeing everybody at Reese Smith Field this year. Get your season tickets and be out there with us when the Blue Raiders open up the season on February 19th. Until then, Chip Walters here saying, be loud, be proud, and be blue.